Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm aware that my lighting is stupid, and I feel like I should make an update soon about this channel because honestly, I just keep making bullshit that's not related to the channel whatsoever, but I'm definitely changing what I make, I guess. I'm still gonna make music reviews, but right now I'm not making top 20 ranked because the charts are dull as fuck, but yeah, I'm not really necessarily just a music person, but I do like to do more just commentary reaction type things. I like the whole Nintendo videos where I ran it. I am still going to make the Smash Bros. Community video because that needs to happen. So I'm being like pretty quiet and chill right now. Honestly, it's kind of late. It's, 12:46 in the morning on Friday. And it's actually Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. I don't know why I thought it was Friday for a second. I don't know. So anyway, guys, this is an article, so I'm going to start with this because I just googled people are rude because I want to see what people have to say about rude people, because this is going to be a controversial opinion, but I think rudeness is subjective in a sense. Yes, there are obviously certain things you just don't do no matter where you are, but like even like cultural things, even in different countries, like a gesture can be considered rude in one country and not rude in another country. Like, I'm pretty sure the okay sign in the US is considered obscene in, like, some other countries. It's, like, stuff like that. Like, and I do think you should be somewhat culturally conscious, you know, if you're traveling. And that includes within the US because the US is a big place. I'm from the US, and, like, you're not going to experience the same thing in one part of the US as you are in another. And that's just kind of how it goes. And honestly, there are many, many things that you might think are rude, but aren't actually rude to those people. Okay, so it's like, you think people are rude, people are just, like, that's how they are, and you're just not used to it. I think that's generally, yeah, there are instances where I will say, okay, that person is being rude, but there's like, being loud isn't inherently rude. Like, I like being, like, certain things that are, oh my god, that's so rude. I mean, yeah, if you straight up ignore someone and they're, like, trying to be whatever, but if you're a random person I don't know, it's just kind of like, what the fuck? So yeah, honestly, I think rudeness is somewhat subjective. There are things that I would say are always rude, like if you're gonna call people names, if you're gonna, like, not, like, in a joking way, I mean, if you're gonna, like, catcall, there's certain things that you just don't do, but in terms of, like, generally speaking, I don't know. So this article is from The Entrepreneur, 10 effective ways intelligent people deal with rude people. So right away we have a petty title. All right. Maybe they aren't really a rude person. Maybe they are a stressed person who's being rude. Well, that's definitely true. So if you've ever driven during rush hour traffic or waited through a crowded store, you know all too well that rude people are everywhere. Whether it's an insulting comment or a dismissive attitude, right there. Dismissive attitude. That is apparently rude. How is that? I understand certain situations, yes, like if you're talking to someone, if you're your friend, your family, if you're trying to do something, but if you're encountering a stranger in a store and someone's being dismissive, even if you're a cashier and they're just doing their job, it's like, that's not rude. That's the thing. People seem to think that that's rude, and I just don't get it, honestly. Maybe, like, in like, Texas or something, that's rude. I honestly don't know. But, like, I just don't get it. So, whether it's an insulting comment or dismissive attitude, rudeness is pervasive. All too often, this negativity rubs off on us. You can't control someone else's behavior, but you don't want to be provoked by someone's ill-mannered attitude, so what do you do? When confronted with toxic behavior, like being dismissive or yelling. And when I say yelling, I don't mean, like, yelling at you. Like, there's a difference between, like, being aggressive and being loud. Like, there's a big difference there. And yeah, I get it. It can be overwhelming. Like, loud stuff can be overwhelming. I get it. I'm autistic. I fucking know that. But it's just, like, there's a difference between people, like, being loud and being aggressive. Being, like, up in your face. Like, like, I'm gonna fight you. Like, that's a whole different thing. Like, that's rude. That's not only rude. That's, like, dangerous. That's a whole different metric. So, I just love how they're talking about smart people, like the smart people. This is how smart people handle rude people. So what is your insane wisdom? So It says, when confronted with toxic behavior, whether it's coming from a crotchety stranger, a grouchy coworker, or a snappish friend, yeah, but it's like a stranger being rude, whatever. Here are some tried and true methods that smart people use to effectively handle rude people. just the pettiness. I sense so much pettiness in this article. Like, I don't know where this person lives, but let's just move on. So realize that rudeness is nothing new. Rudeness seems to be part of human nature. We've been complaining about it since the beginning of time. Plato famously ranted about disrespectful and ill-mannered youths, because Plato was around at the beginning of time. Rude behavior can easily become a habit for many people. We often simply overlook or forget the importance of showing kindness, sympathy, and understanding to others. And I agree with that. I think you should. There's definitely... But you shouldn't be to the extent where I'm like, I'm gonna hug every stranger and give you candy. Like, there's a limit to it. Some people want to be left alone. Like, some people just want to chill. Like, you're on a bus or something, and people are like trying to talk to you. Like, I just want to listen to my music. What the fuck? Okay, next one is, here we go. Rude behavior is catching. It tends to trigger more negative behavior, but if we can see that these negative behaviors hamper our productivity, our happiness, and our health, we can recognize that importance of putting a stop to such a conduct. Rudeness is nothing new, but that doesn't mean we have to continue the cycle of rudeness. Which, like, yeah, good message. Like, I agree. Like, don't be rude back. If someone is actually, like, legit rude to you, don't be rude back. Unless they deserve it, because, like, if someone calls you a slur or something, then, like, honestly... So, this is Stop a Spiral of Rudeness. This basically sounds like the same point as the last one, where they're just like, oh, you should not be rude back. Okay, sure. So, it says, rude behavior can spread like a disease if you let it. One act of rudeness can easily spiral and cause other acts of rudeness, spreading foul tempers and poor behavior. And wait, yeah, you mean like people who start brawling in the middle of a grocery store? Yeah, like that shit. It's easy to see how this happens. A rude driver cuts in front of you on the way to work, causing you to feel annoyed and frustrated. Okay, so I will say one thing right now. Drivers are rude. I don't drive. I'm 17. I'm legally old enough to drive. I just don't have a license. I don't drive. It causes me a great deal of anxiety, even when I'm a passenger. Just traffic in general. I live, like, near Pittsburgh. Honestly, Pittsburgh traffic is weird. But, like, I will say drivers are insanely rude. They'll cut people off. Like, it's insane, honestly. Like, people, there's, like, certain things, like, honestly, Northern Virginia is just the worst. The drivers are the worst. I mean, they're crazy. And, like, New York, like, honestly, I don't think New York is rude. Like, what I'm saying is that's totally subjective. Like, being loud or being dismissive is not rude, in my opinion. But, like, the drivers in New York are fucking rude. Like, it's just... I hate driving. No offense. Okay, moving on. So, this says, you take those negative feelings out on your office mates when you find yourself snapping at coworkers for no reason. Your coworkers feeling miffed are then grumpy and rude to others, and so it goes. I understand what he or she, this person writing this, is trying to say here, but it's still, I don't know, it's still just kind of petty to me. You have it in your power to stop that cycle of rudeness with a little empathy. You can diffuse rudeness with kindness. It's like, where's this universal wisdom coming from? This thing that we all know, unless you're like a sociopath. All right, moving on. Don't take rudeness personally. That's actually not a bad message. The first step to stopping a cycle of rudeness is to stop taking it personally. We all have bad days when the world seems to be beating us down. It's all too tempting to take it out on the world, but which really means taking it out on the person that is nearest to you. This happens to all of us, so realizing that the offending person may just be having a bad day can put things into perspective. They may be dealing with something difficult when you just happen to be in their line of fire. Often you can break the cycle of rudeness by avoiding responding to bad behavior with your own negativity. I actually agree with this. I think that's a good point. There's a lot of people, whatever. So this is react to rudeness of kindness. It feels like a lot of these points are just kind of related. Like they're just like the same thing in different words, I guess. So don't let a rude person cause you to respond with more of the same. One of the best ways to diffuse rude or negative behaviors to stay friendly and positive, which I definitely agree with, but there's a limit to it again. Like, hi, I'm positive. There's like, you know what I mean? It gives the other person a chance to calm down and adjust their behavior to match yours. Kindness can be a wonderful antidote to rudeness. Like, this is what I personally think. Like, don't fake being positive. Like, if you're not in a positive mood, don't say anything. Like, I agree. Like, don't be rude. Like, don't say anything instead of being like, the sun is shining. Because it's like, what the fuck? Like, honestly. Also, I live in Pittsburgh, so the sun is never shining. Okay, moving on. So, we've used humor to diffuse a difficult problem. You realize some people have no sense of humor, right? So this specific one says, a rude and difficult person can create tension and anxiety in themselves and everyone around them. Remember, they are probably being rude because they're angry or upset about something that they're going through. Humor can create a diversion and break the tension, allowing everyone to laugh it off. So it's kind of like they're defending rude people here. They're saying like, oh, they're rude because they have something going on in their life. But also, you should be nice to them. But isn't it about dealing with... Okay, whatever. Moving on. If you can do this by finding a way to laugh about a common situation or by joking about a shared experience you can all relate to. Self-deprecating humor can also be disarming. Finding a way to insert a little levity when someone is feeling out of sorts may be just the thing to help everyone hit the rest button and begin again on a better note. Self-deprecating behavior is disarming. I don't know. I mean, I do think so. I do like self-deprecating humor. It's funny, but there's a point where it's not funny anymore. It's just like depressing. So this says call the person out on his or her behavior. Doesn't this contradict, being kind and being... I'm not saying calling people out isn't kind, but I mean, doesn't this contradict the whole, being passive and kind that's going on in these other points? So now you're supposed to be aggressive back? I'm confused. So this one says, another tactic to stop spiral rudeness is to simply call them out on their behavior and ask them to stop. Okay, if someone you can't get away from is constantly rude to you, you need to address the issue directly. I agree. I think if you're with someone who's just, an asshole, just constantly... to you, again, if it's a personal thing, if it's someone you work with, again, if it's just some random person you don't know, then just let it slide. So, there's no need for you to take ongoing abuse from anyone. I completely agree, though. You should never allow anyone to treat you in a disrespectful way. Have a conversation about what's going on. Does the person realize how hurtful their actions are to you? Perhaps the person doesn't realize how rude they're being. By making a person aware, it gives them a chance to apologize and try to be more polite. But, some people won't, right? Some people are just assholes. Okay, so the next point is don't escalate. Again, these all... Okay, whatever. When someone annoys you, your first instinct may be to lash back, but remember, you always and only have control over yourself. Choose not to give into drama. No matter how another person acts, you own your behavior just as they will have to keep theirs. And it says, keep your cool, take a deep breath, and give yourself space to calm down. If someone has upset you, remember you don't have to stoop to their level, and doing so will probably only make matters worse. Maintain your dignity and rise above the fray. So, honestly, some of this is good advice, but then some of this is, really weird. It's kind of petty, to be honest. Sorry, I need to charge my phone. It's kind of petty, to be honest, and it's some of this just strikes me as oh, smart people. This is how smart people deal with rude people. I'm how do dumb people deal with rude people? Do they just scream? Do they escalate the situation? It's just kind of a question I have. I don't know. I feel weird about it. Something about this whole thing rubs me the wrong way. So, showing empathy and sympathy. Showing empathy requires you to try to understand why the person is being rude. Perhaps that person is dealing with a difficult situation in their life or feeling overwhelmed. If you can find a way to show that you understand and care about them, it'll feel more connected and less alone in their struggles. Okay, I completely agree with this. Generally, I do think that, again, if it's someone you know, if it's a coworker or whatever, you can try to, be like, hey, what's up? Try to be nice about it, I guess. But, again, if it's a random stranger, yes, be empathetic, but you don't have to be out loud. Oh my god, I know what you're going through, and also, I just realized that this is upside down now. I guess it doesn't swap when it swaps. So yeah, that's precisely what's going on here. So I think it's pretty funny. It's not really funny, it's just weird. This whole thing is just weird and awkward. I really have nothing else to call this. If you know someone having a difficult time, let them know you understand. Okay, blah blah blah. And being a good role model, okay, sure. People have all kinds of ulterior motives for acting as they do. This whole article is just defending random people. Recognize some people use rude behavior as a way of showing dominance or displaying power. That's a good thing? Sure. They may be trying to provoke a reaction to make you look bad. Don't let them have the satisfaction of seeing you get angry. Yeah, this is important. I agree. By being a good role model and treating everyone with fairness, kindness, and empathy, you are displaying the kind of behavior you expect from those around you. If they can't show you the same level of civility in return, it may be time to enlist help about this. And the last point is just straight up avoid the rude person. So, After all that defenses, after all that be nice to people, now they're just like, oh, just avoid the person. Well, that's a great solution to everything. That is a perfect solution. So it says, when all else fails, keep in mind that sometimes it's best to just walk away. If you have done all you can to make the person aware of his or her actions and you've tried to show kindness and empathy, and maybe this person is just incapable of treating you and others with politeness and good manners, by avoiding habitually rude people, you can take away their audience and give them fewer targets to slash out at. A lack of audience will also diffuse the situation. If everyone around them begins giving them wide berth, perhaps it will be a wake-up call, and if not, it will be at least help everyone else have a better day. Okay, I kind of agree with that, but it's still kind of funny to put at the end. So, again, there's so much stuff like polite ways to disarm real people. Why people are rude and unkind. It's not about you. I'm just reading these headlines like, oh my god. Why are we impressed by rude people? Smart ways to deal with rude people. Again, what is it with a smart? Why rudeness is so toxic and how to stop it? How to graciously deal with rude people. Oh my god. Okay, I think I have to look at the why people are rude and unkind. It's not about you. just the name of it. So it's probably along the similar lines of, you know, I'm a very happy, optimistic, and idealistic person, but I always have to be the one to look on the bright side, to see the good in people, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so basically, oh, they're saying they got depressed and got rude. Okay, well, that's not cool. I mean, being depressed isn't cool, but, like, honestly, I will say it's not an excuse, but I completely understand why, because I've been there. So, like, okay, so honestly, this article is kind of has a point, I guess, that you should try, like, again, you should try to understand people. I agree with being empathetic. So, I definitely kind of see all this stuff. So, 11 causes of rudeness, how to do with rude strangers, comebacks for rude people, how to respond to rude comments, what to say when someone is being rude, types of rudeness, how to shut down a rude person, and rude people quotes. So what I want to see is what is rudeness, because again, I see how subjective it is. So what is rudeness? It's just a lack of manners and discourtesy, but it depends on what's considered discourtesy where you live, right? So, so a lack of manners and discourtesy. So we have, oh my god, just in general, why rudeness is so toxic. Rude, the meaning of rude in Longman Dictionary of Contemporary. So, speaking or behaving in a way that is not polite and is likely to offend or annoy people. Alright, so the actual definition is just saying basically that, you know, people are rude because people are rude. So people who are offensive. I do think there's a difference between being there is overlap between being rude and being offensive. I don't think they're mutually exclusive though. So, but there are differences. We have discourteousness, ill-mannered, all this thesaurus stuff. So I'm actually gonna go into Quora. Hold on. Well, I'm actually gonna look up about New Yorkers being rude, because New Yorkers being rude. This is like this stereotype. Like I said, the drivers suck, but, like, this stereotype of New Yorkers being rude. So I'm going to pull up, are New Yorkers friendly? Are New Yorkers unfriendly? Are New Yorkers blunt? There is a point. Blunt does not equal rude. See, again, it depends on where you live. Next one is, what are New Yorkers known for? Are New Yorkers smarter? Smarter than what? Like, IQ. Probably some New Yorker was like, I'm smarter, and then somebody got offended and wrote an article about it. I'm sure that happened. Somebody's saying New Yorkers are smarter than other Americans, and this may actually be true. The majority of people who live in New York City were not born there. Indeed, more of a third were not born in the United States. Oh, so basically it's saying Americans are dumb. Sure. Or I don't mean Native Americans, like, but I mean, like, people who are native to the U.S. are dumb. Okay, so, I mean, yes, there's aggressiveness is, yes, see, I think being aggressive is different from being rude. So here's the Quora pull-up. Why are people in New York City rude? Or are people in New York City rude? And, I think this person had a great point. It was just talking about having their own social rules, which really makes a lot of sense. I can definitely, like, see that, because it's just, like, wherever you live. So, I don't know why this person is talking about Parisians. I have not been to Paris, so I wouldn't know. They're basically saying that tourists are annoying, which I completely understand, because it's, like, even though I was a tourist, I try to be, like, that's the thing. If I'm gonna be, like, traveling somewhere, I try not to be one of those people who's, like, I'm just gonna stand in the middle of the sidewalk and be an idiot, you know? like, because honestly, that's annoying. Like, it's just, like, you know, the people who are just, like, I'm gonna stand here and be, like, I get it, you're looking at stuff like, please step aside. Like, honestly, I can say this because it's just, like, people are walking, you're just, like, and one of the things that I had to learn in my life, just in general in my life, is to walk on the right. Like, that's just, like, a thing, because, like, I remember going to my grandma's retirement home, and, like, everyone would walk on the right side, so it's like foot traffic is the same thing as driving traffic, because, again, my town is small, there aren't that many people in my town, so it's generally not an issue, but, you know, if there's, like, foot traffic, you pass on the right. At least that's my experience. I don't really know, I'm sure it depends on where you are. Anyways, that's not really the point. So, this person is saying, if you're a tourist milling about the city and you all of a sudden stop walking in the middle of the sidewalk, you're going to piss a few people off. I love how that's punctuated. It's great. It's honestly great. That's a fact. When you're back home driving, do you just stop in the middle of the road? If you did, would you be surprised if a few people blow their horns and mouthed off? The sidewalks are our highways. Most of us don't own cars. I do, but it spends most of its time parked in a midtown garage. Pull over to the side of the sidewalk before you stop. It's the polite thing to do. However, the wholesale rudeness that people have seen on TV is just not present in the city. I've called home for years. Okay, so yeah, honestly, the point is, like, I mean, that's a very good point. Like, honestly, why would you stop your car in the middle of traffic? Like, that's honestly a great point, which, honestly, yes, stopping walking is not nearly as fatal as stopping your car, because if you stopped a car, you'd fucking die. But, like, again, I live somewhere where there aren't that many, there isn't much people walking around, there isn't much, wow, my grammar is perfect, but, like, if you're in a city, you have to, like, not, like, it's like, you know, if you need to do something, pull your car over. Pull your ass on the side of the road, bitch. That's all I can say. Okay, so this next one, I'm just kind of reading through these a little bit. So basically, people are going somewhere in a hurry, don't want to be distracted. I can definitely agree with that. It's like, hey, like, I mean, yeah, if someone starts, like, randomly talking to me and I don't know you, I'm just gonna think you're weird. Honestly, I get creeped out when people start talking to me, because it's just like, I don't know you. Like, honest, no offense, but it's just like, and I'm not saying, like, someone starts talking to you, like, at a cafe or a waitress or, like, a barista, that's one thing, but I mean, like, someone on the street starts talking to me, I'm just like, I don't know, it's weird to me. So basically, moving quickly and not being distracted, not responding to people who ask questions. And then the issue is that it's like, oh, people are asking you questions. Probably people are, like, asking for directions and shit. But again, I'm like, I don't know you. It's kind of instance of, like, I just feel like, okay, so like I said, I was in Manhattan with my aunt, and she had her phone. She had Yelp. And I remember, and she's, like, super friendly, nice person, like my aunt is. Like, honestly, everyone was, like, really nice. But because my aunt is nice, so, like, everyone is nice to my aunt. But anyway, she would just, like, pull up Yelp, and she'd just find restaurants and stuff, and she just did that. She was never, like, being nosy about, like, asking people for directions or being like, hey, you know, so I'm not saying you can't ask people for directions. Like, obviously, if you're, like, really fucking lost and if your phone's dead or some shit, but, like, generally try to, like, okay, whatever. And try not to, like, bother, like, if somebody is clearly not in a position to be talked to, like, I'm not even talking about directions. This is just one of the things this is just a pet peeve I have in my life, just in general. If someone is clearly does not want to be talked to, and this is a huge pet peeve I have, and this is a giant pet peeve I have. If you have headphones, earbuds, anything, you do not want to be talked to. That is the end of the story. And I have had multiple people try to talk to me if I'm on a swing set. Yes, I'm 17, I still go on a swing set. If I'm, you know, just outside, if I'm chilling, if I'm doing something, I will have multiple people at a public park, at a playground, who will try to talk to me, ask me questions, just generally try to talk to me. I was at my co-op once, and I had there's this guy I really don't like, and he was, like, trying to flirt with me. The whole thing is just weird, okay? If I have these in, I do not want to be spoken to. Like, unless there's an emergency, you desperately need something from me, you're telling me that the bus is on fire, I do not need to be spoken to. If I am wearing these, if I'm on a public transportation and I am wearing these, I'm listening to music, I do not want to be spoken to. If I'm commuting and I just got up, I do not want to be spoken to. Like, I don't commute, I'm just putting myself in other people's shoes and my own shoes in the next 6 months to a year, because I'm not gonna drive, so I'm gonna have to commute by public transportation. So, yeah, if you have these in, and this is something that I consider to be very rude, is interrupting someone with headphones or earbuds. If you have headphones, unless, you know, there's an emergency, or you really, if you just generally speaking, no, please don't. And I understand sometimes at the park it's, like, little kids, so they don't know better, so I'm not gonna, like, judge them, but it is still annoying. So, like, honestly, just one of my biggest pet peeves, just ever, like, that's something that bothers me to no end, is when people just constantly wear or like constantly do shit like that. It's very, very annoying. So I got sidetracked there, but basically so okay, this person lives in people that think rudeness is actually normal because that's all they know. I mean, that's fair, but that means it is normal. If it's all you know, then it is normal where you live. Like, that's just how it is. Like, honestly, not saying it's normal for them. Like, it might not be normal for you, but that's another thing. That's just, generally speaking, I am not the type of person, I am not going to, like, and there are instances where I will, because I'm scared of getting, like, I guess, like, pushback, or, like, I don't want people to, like, I don't want to, like, antagonize people, so there are times where I will, like, you know, be more open to, like, you know, I'll be, like, more careful, I guess, about what I say, but generally speaking, I'm not a type of person who will compromise, I guess, like, how I am, or, like, compromise my personality, or, like, what I say, or what my opinions are, to make someone comfortable, I guess is what I'm saying. So, like, I'm not going to compromise what I'm saying to make you comfortable. And that's generally how I feel. It's kind of like, that's like the entirety of New York City, and honestly, I fucking relate to that so much, because this is me as a person. I'm just like, I'm not going to, like, compromise myself to make you comfortable. Like, that's just, like, I'm autistic. I'm not going to compromise myself to make you neurotypical people comfortable. Like, honestly, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, okay, so the next one, this person saying, people classify brevity and forwardness as rude. Again, that's the same point of, like, yeah, it might be rude to you, it's not rude to them. And honestly, it's not rude to me. Even though, like, I'm not from, like, a super big city, I just generally am not. I'm still from the north. Like, I'm definitely not a southern person at all, and there's a whole different cultural thing there. It's funny, because, like, I know southern people, I mean, my grandparents are from the south. It's just, like, it's something I've never really identified with. I definitely identify with, like, the cities, and I could just, like, vibe with it, honestly. It sounds really stupid, but, like, I honestly felt like I vibed way more in Manhattan than I ever have in Pittsburgh, and, like, Pittsburgh is, like, Pittsburgh is weird in its own right, but, like, I love that Pittsburgh is weird, but, like, it's a long story. Like, speaking of cultural things, Pittsburgh has their own weird cultural things that no one else would get, and that I'm sure people would say, what the heck are you talking about? Like, I'm sure there are many, many things. Just, like, the accents are weird. People will shout. Like, I don't mean the shouting at each other. Okay, this is one thing that I noticed, too, is honking your horn. Like, okay, so like, in Pittsburgh, or, like, this area, if you honk your horn at someone, yes, there are, like, rude honks. There's, like, you know, whatever. But if you honk your horn at someone, generally, it's a friendly thing. It's like, hi, how are you? I know you. Honk. And if you're in, like, Manhattan and you honk your horn, it's almost always rude. Like, get out of my way. Like, I could tell. This sounds bizarre, but when I can tell the tone of, like, a honk, I can, like, know, because in Pittsburgh, we have this friendly honking thing, so, like, it's something that I understand, and it's just something that I've always lived with, and I know when you're doing a friendly honk, and I know when you're doing a get-out-of-my-face honk. It's just, I can tell. So, anyway, that's something, for instance, honking your horn is something that's not inherently rude in Pittsburgh, but in a lot of places you'd say, oh, that's inherently rude, no, don't do that, that's rude. But, like, and I'm not talking about, like, doing it for safety reasons, but the people who are just like, get out of it, honk your horn. But in Pittsburgh, it's like, hey, I know you. And I'm sure other places do it too, but it's just something that I've always grown up with, so, again, case in point. So basically, they said the city has zero tolerance for nonsense. I can definitely agree with that. Like, that's kind of how I am. Like, I feel like my personality, this sounds so fucking weird, but, like, my personality like, I don't know how to say this, but, like, you know, all the stereotypes, like, what people say about New York, that's, like, my personality. Okay, so it says people in NYC think and act fast, they are decisive, they have things to do and places to go. I can't read, but you get the point. Yet if you need help, they're extremely helpful and friendly, but they don't have time to coddle you. It's those who slow them down who are offending, as it's these people who are taking away their time to get things done. Honestly, like I said, my personality, if you haven't watched my channel, and people keep asking me to put closed captions on my videos, I have no idea how to do that, but, like, I talk so fucking fast, and everyone's always like, what the fuck? Like, literally, Cause literally people are always asking me, like, what the heck are you saying? Why are you talking so fast? I'm like, my brain moves fast, so I have to talk fast to keep up with my brain, because I'm an external processor. I think out loud. I have to actively, like, be like, hey, you know, processing my thoughts out loud and instantly responding to people, even if it's, you know, not exactly the right thing to say. Honestly, this is just how I am. I'm just super, like, I'm just very much a fast talker. I talk fast, I walk fast. If I'm getting somewhere, I definitely, like, when I have to do stuff, like, I'm not gonna say I'm not lazy, I don't procrastinate, I'm not gonna say I don't have faults, like, in my own, you know, personal life. Like, if I have to do something, if I have to, like, go out in public, I'm gonna do it, because I'm not gonna, like, do nonsense, honestly. That's the thing, too. I hate walking, because, like, I mean, I love walking, it's great exercise, but I'm always nervous about, like, people, because, like I said, it's kind of different. Like, if you're in a city, there's loads of people around, but it's like, if you're, like, in my town, it's, like, one person, hi, you're creepy. Like, that's just how I am, honestly, and, like, people have dogs in their yards, and I fucking hate dogs scare me, so it's just, like, yeah, so it's, like, this is something to me that is just, like, if I have to get somewhere, I'm gonna walk fast. Like, fuck, I can't walk slow. Like, that's not a thing. Like, sure, okay. Definitely agree with this. Yeah, so this person says yes, but the word rude can be interpreted in different ways. Exactly the fucking point I was making this whole time. Some here interpret it as being over the top mean, and though that does happen too often, most of the time that's not the norm, so they will say no in response to this. Due to multiple factors, the norm for people in public is to be cold and focused on themselves, those close to them first, and everyone else's background. And honestly, that's kind of the thing which sounds like, oh my god, you're so self-centered. Like, I used to be very much like, you know,
I don't know, I was always like, oh, I miss that, like, you know, how all those small towns had, like, the friendly spirit and everyone knew each other. Like, I thought that was, like, a cute thing when I was younger, like, like, I had this, like, appeal of, like, old Route 66 towns, like, it's a weird phase I went through, and I honestly thought this was, like, such a cute, cool thing, and honestly, the culture of those